Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to do a deep dive into the plugins themselves. I want to give you guys some advice as far as maybe what plugins you might want to level up, what plugins you might want to salvage, and so on. Because plugins are really the kingdom come of leveling up your characters in this game to make them as strong as possible, whether you're increasing blast skills, strike skills, whether you're increasing momentum for Tower of Illusion and plug-in plan, whether you're giving them overpower to decrease damage received, make your characters tankier, things of that nature. So I want to talk a little bit about it, and we're just going to click on Ash, guys, and we're going to go over it. So we have 4 different types of plugins. We have common, uncommon, rare, and epic, right? Epic is obviously going to be the best. The first piece of advice I can give any of you guys when it comes to plugins is do not try to change the stat on any plugins except for epic or rare. That's it. I would not do it for these two at all. As a matter of fact, if you come out of here and you go to equipment and you click on plugin, you'll actually be able to salvage, and you can actually click on this little icon right here and boom, and then click on this one here and get rid of both those things. Now, before you do this, especially early on when you're farming for plugins, I would make sure that them plugins don't have any stats that you necessarily need for a character. If they do, make sure to like that plugin. If you like it, and as you guys can see here, it will automatically lock and you don't have to worry about it, right? So as far as locking the plugin, we'll come back in here, click on this guy, and click on this, and you see the like, boom. And now that plugin can never be deleted until I get rid of the like. So that's an easy thing for you guys to do after you've been playing the plugin plant for a while, is start getting rid of those things, because you will need those materials to change the stats. Now let's talk about changing stats. We're going to start with the good old watch. So whenever you want to change these stats, you would click on change effect. You see all of the effects that we have right here. Now these effects can vary. There's all kinds of different things they can be, but regardless of what they are, there's always going to be certain stats that you're actually looking forward to getting. So when you hit change option effect, you'll see that they have momentum and active skill. These are the stats already on it. And you see that you have to use these materials. These are from salvaging. Whenever you salvage these uncommon plugins, then you're going to get these materials. And if I click on this one or this one and then click on this little guy right here, you can see the possible stats that I could get. You could get attack up to 8,000 for 4,000, 8,000, defense 14, 1,500, or from 1,400 to 3,500. And these change depending on the plugin. So for the watch, these are the stats. And if you notice, the watch goes to 4320, right? Now, this is a crappy plugin because of the rarity that it is. But if we click on an epic plugin, right? And then we click on change option, right? Now you see we got to use 3 different materials to level up these epics, right? So you need a lot of materials to be able to do this, right? As well as something else we'll talk about in a little bit. But if you click on it and click on the little icon here, you'll see that the momentum goes to 5,040. So the point of what I'm trying to get at, guys, is what you really want to do is you want to look at every plugin and see what gives you the most stats for what you're actually desiring before you change that stat. You know, if you're looking for blast skills or strike skills, look for the one that gives you the most strike skill, the most blast skills, or the most momentum, depending on what your situation. If you're farming for Tower of Illusion, if you're farming for the plugin plan, if you want to do better in the Aegis Challenge, having momentum is going to be godly. It will be very, very good for increasing your damage. But on top of that, as I've said in many videos, guys, if you have characters that prioritize blast skills, then give them another blast stat as well as the momentum. If they have strike skills, then the same thing. And then if they have basic attacks, the same thing. Right? So like, for example, with the watch, momentum isn't really the thing I'd be looking for. In the very beginning, it is. But after a while, you're going to want to start changing these stats. This is really kind of like in-game stuff before you start doing this. I'm not even there, guys. I don't even want to change these things because really of the price tag, right? But you see that 5,040 momentum, and then you scroll down here, you see all these enhancements, and you see the active skill 1 damage actually goes up to 45%. The basic attack damage goes up 60%. So if you're trying to buff up a character for basic attack damage, this watch is nuts. If you can get that stat, that's a big if, guys. Well, actually it's this big. I was doing this, but that's a big if, guys. Look, that's a big if, guys. It's complete RNG as far as which one of these you would actually get. But that is just an example. You see that high stat for that basic attack. That would be massive, right? And then as well, guys, always the power level on these plugins. Like this is 146, 111. The higher level power you have on your plugin, the more overall points that your character will have. And this is going to help you in the Tower of Illusion, in the plugin plans. But we come back here and we click on the ring and we hit change effect. We click on this little guy, click in here, now you're going to notice, guys, that momentum actually goes to 10,800. And the other thing I want you to notice is there's no caveat to this. You always have this no matter what. So when you equip a plugin that has just solid momentum, that's going to show up in your stat details, which is actually right here. So if you click on stat details, it would actually show your cumulative momentum. I mean, I got 30,000 on my boy here, which is astronomical, guys. That is a lot of momentum, right? I've been working real hard on the plugin plan trying to get that. But if we scroll down, guys, you just look at where, we have the highest attack. But that momentum on this is nuts. You have 50% strike, blast, and grab skills here. This is a very, very good number. 50%, basic attack 50%. So the watch is still better. And obviously, guys, remember, you got 5 plugins. For example, if I need basic attacks and I need momentum, then every plugin I'm going to want basic attack and momentum. I'm going to try to get as much as possible so that way I can do the most damage. Now, as we get in more difficult content, like as we're pushing Tower of Illusion, and maybe even the plugin plants way down the road, we might need to have a stat called Overpower, which actually gives us decreased damage received, or more decreased damage received. So that is something to think about down the road, but I'm not really sure if you're really going to need that, to be perfectly honest, guys. So far, I haven't really seen the need for it at all. But we get out of here, and then we go to the necklace here, right? And when you look at this, the momentum gets pretty wild. So the necklace has also 10,800 momentum, solid, right? So these two plugins that I just clicked on, right? The ring and the necklace, both you can get up to 10,800 momentum just by, well, not just by, but if you get lucky and try to change that stat and get it, right? So those are really good ones to search for momentum. And again, you see the blast skills are up to 50%. It's all the same. So, and the base attack goes to 50%, right? So, yeah. Okay. And then we go to the next one. We click on the earplugs here, right? And we get on this. And now you're going to notice that we also have blast skills up to 50%. We have basic attack up to 50%. So that watch is still the best for basic attacks, right? Now, whenever you see these kinds of things, guys, you'll see like some of these plugins don't have a solid momentum stat or just a solid stat. They'll have like these caveats to them to where you have a 40% chance to increase momentum and phantom penetration up to the certain amount for 10 seconds by landing a critical hit. Now, this is really good because all the UE characters, their cards have lots of critical rate. The UE characters themselves have a lot of critical rate on top of the EX characters as well. So this is actually very, very good because there's no cooldown, guys. Once you do that 10 seconds, you do another critical hit, it'll keep doing it. So this is actually tremendously good. 40% chance is very nice. This one here is good because it lasts for 15 seconds. That's nice. And when attacking an enemy. So like when you're in the plugin plan, again, Tower of Illusion, there's lots and lots of mobs out there. So it actually get it done. And remember, these stats, guys, that have these caveats, like I said earlier, are not going to show up in your stat details. This is extra momentum that has to be procced whenever you're playing with them, right? So it is something to think about and something to keep in mind. All these guys, this decreased stun and petrify, these could be useful, say in the plugin plant, if you're farming. They could be useful, but I honestly, at this point in time, I just wouldn't really recommend doing it. I would always go for momentum. I'd always go for whatever the character needs to get buffed up as far as blast skills or strike skills or whatever the case may be. It's just going to be a lot easier that way. And you look at this one, guys, and you look at the momentum, how this one's set up, and its momentum is just like the one you guys just saw, right? When we go down here, it's the same thing, right? And again, this is really like, this is the ones you're looking for, like these big dog suckers, right? And a big reason why you really don't want to do this right now, unless you're, a massive whale, you've been playing for a long time, is because of the price tag. This is, and this is a cheap one, guys. It's only got one stat, right? 392,000, right? If I click on an epic and I want to change that option, look at the price tag, 612,000. And on top of that, you got to farm for all those plugins. You got to salvage all those plugins. This is salvaging epic plugins right here to get this. Okay, that is a lot, right? It's very difficult to get those epics, right? You got to be farming. I think maybe tier 5 you can get epics, right? In the plugin plant. Tier 6 for sure. Tier 7 obviously you can. But I've known players that spent so much gold on this, and this is why I don't really recommend you guys to change these stats. You can do it if you want, but I've been doing tier 7 plugin plants. I've been able to get up to 30,000 momentum on my characters that I've been doing it with without changing any stats whatsoever. I just don't think you need to do it. And I do have an astronomical amount of gold, but I mean, and maybe one of these days I'll do it for a video, but I'm really kind of waiting until I get more plugins before I do this, because I'm still going to have to salvage a bunch of these. I'm going to have to salvage some of these to change some stats on these plugins. So if I wanted to change a plugin, right, I would maybe click on this one right here, or really you would just want to find a plugin that actually has a couple good stats. If it's got 2 stats and it is a epic and it is a rare, then I think it'd probably be worth changing the stat for if it's one of these, especially if it's an epic, because if you have 2 stats that you want on this thing, then it's going to be doing good. Now don't pay attention to the very top stat, guys. Look at these bottom stats right here, okay? Click on this one. Look at these bottom stats, right? This is what you're looking at. You got 28.7 damage dealt with grab skill. You have overpower, active skill, overpower. This one just isn't good at all, in my opinion, right? So really, let's click on one on my character here. We got 10,012 momentum. We have grab skills, which is worthless for this guy. And we do have tier 2 core active skill by 1. These are 2 decent stats. And this is one that I could change, because if you look at that momentum and I hit the change effect, right? Look at the max momentum that you can actually get. 10,008, right? 10,008. And we're at 10,222. So it's very, very close to the max momentum. And the grab skill is actually sitting at 37%. And if we click on this and we look at the grab skill, say this was, just for example, going on a grab character, this 50% is max. So you have, this isn't really good, but it's not bad. It's better than average, better, it's pretty decent. So it might be worth keeping for some players, or maybe this one right here. You really got to play it by ear, guys, as far as like which one of these you really want to level up. But if you see that pretty much the max whatever is on a, so if you have almost max momentum on a plugin, obviously you don't want to try to change that stat. If you have a very, very low, say blast skills on here, and you're trying to put it on Ash, then maybe you want to try to re-roll that and try to get a good amount of blast skills. But you're really looking for plugins that have 2 good stats already on them. It's like this one here, increased momentum, and the attack isn't bad, right? So if I click on here, okay, that's 9,900. Increased momentum by 9,900, and we scroll down here, guys. I know I said that twice. 10,800. So it's almost maxed out. It's almost maxed out, right? And then when I look at let me go down here a little bit, guys. When I look at the attack, it's at 8,000, and this attack's at 6,873. So it's actually got 2 pretty decent plugins on it. So I would just want to change this one right here, and if you click in here, then I'm just looking for either more attack, more momentum, more blast skills, or strike skill, or grab, depending on the character that I have them on. But you always want to make sure that you have 2 good stats on those plugins, and that's really going to help alleviate the pain of trying to re-roll these. If you can get one with 3 stats, that's insane. If you can get one that has 3 perfect stats, are like really close to max stats, you should keep that. That's an insane plugin. You should never get rid of it. If it's got 2 stats, that's actually still very good, especially if they're almost maxed out. That's still a very good plugin to keep. And again, guys, in the very beginning, you're going to keep all of them, but over time, you're going to start salvaging these smaller ones to try to level up the more powerful ones, because as you push the plugin plant, you're going to be able to get higher level plugins a lot easier. And then you can afford to get rid of your smaller plugins that you've been using to try to push that plugin plant. And that pretty much covers it, guys. That pretty much covers, how you should really approach these plugins, guys. Again, it's all RNG as far as the stats that you get. So that's why I really haven't re-rolled any of them, because, again, I've known players that spent a lot going broke gold trying to do this. And it really isn't worth it, guys. There's nothing in the game that really requires you to do that unless you're in super, super high levels of the Tower of Illusion. And that's pretty much it, guys. You really don't need to be re-rolling stats or anything like that. I've never done it. I've done it once, but I've never needed to. I've always been able to get all the rewards out of all the carnivals, everything in there on my semi-free-to-play account and on my main account. So I really don't think at this point anybody really needs to do it. I know some of you have, but for you newer players or intermediate players, I wouldn't re-roll any of these stats on any of these plugins. I would definitely play this game for a good long time before I ever thought about doing that. However you want to, by all means, go for it. And let me know what you guys think about the plugin plant video and stream on Twitch and YouTube. The link to Twitch in the description below. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Y'all take care and have a good one. See you, everybody. Take care.